Hello, welcome to another Looney Tunes review video. If you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe to follow my journey to review all 1000 classic Looney Tunes shorts and give this video a like as well. So this is a review for Little Blabbermouse, released in 1940. It's the 293rd in the series and it's directed by Friz Freleng. You can find an unrestored version of this short on the Looney Tunes Mouse Chronicles DVD and Blu-ray set. Recently, a HD restoration has shown up and hopefully that'll make its way on disc at some point. And I believe you might be able to find it on streaming services sort of on and off. You won't find it on YouTube unless Warner Brothers themselves choose to upload it, as it is a copyrighted short. In case you haven't seen this one, not much to it. You have a mouse who's clearly inspired by W.C. Fields. He does a tour for some mice inside a drugstore, and we end up seeing just all sorts of weird and wonderful dad jokes and puns all throughout. All the while, this little mouse character, Little Blabbermouse, he just won't stop talking. So in this review, I'm going to go through the short from start to finish and go through a lot of the references within and so on. But before I do that, my good friend Camden Spees, he just sent me a very brief little thing about Little Blabbermouse, as Little Blabbermouse only appeared in this one and in another short that comes out in this very same year, but that's it. He wasn't a character that really took off or anything, but he was in some comics, so Camden's just going to let us know just a brief bit of history regarding that.
While most of a comic book would usually be in comic book form, Dell, as well as the earliest of Gold Key comics, would have a 1 to 2 page, or even 3, written story. Just literature with a few pictures, but you just have to read it. It would be like a column. And in the very earliest issues of Looney Tunes and Merry Melodies, the star of these written segments would be Little Blabbermouse. And these would have been part of Chase Craig's and Dell's original concept for the series, and this would differentiate himself from Sniffles. Sniffles basically was his own identity, while Blabbermouse became what Sniffles was in the later cartoons like Hush My Mouse, I think what it was called, and stuff like that. Now, these started as early as the first few issues of the comics, and Bugs Bunny or Sniffles or whoever would appear with Blabbermouse.
So yeah, even in the comics, he wasn't exactly a huge name, but nonetheless, he definitely lasted longer in the comics than he did in his shorts career. But this other mouse, the one that hosts everything and gives everyone a grand tour, that's based off of the comedian W.C. Fields, who was also an actor and writer and so on, and he was very popular at the time, and he would talk with this trademark drawl, the whole, my little chickadee, and he would walk around looking like he was drunk all the time, basically. And the persona was so well known that they even associated that with Fields himself, although he wasn't really like that. But if you ever get a chance to watch any of W.C. Fields' performances or movies and so on, definitely do yourself a favor and do that. And W.C. Fields was parodied many times in not just Warner Brothers, but over at Disney and other studios, because he also had a face that was ripe for caricature, and of course that voice as well, as I already mentioned. In fact, once later on, the whole Warner Brothers studio goes through major changes in the late 60s. You've even got one of the characters that was created in the Seven Arts era, which parodied W.C. Fields, who by that point had been dead for 2 decades. So yeah, he was definitely popular enough to still be remembered even at that late point in time, although these days he might not be as well known, hence why I thought I'd at least mention it here for those who don't know who he is. So here are the W.C. Fields mouse characters voiced by Bill Thompson, who most people would know him best for doing the voice of Droopy, but he had a very wide range when it came to accents. In fact, I always encourage people to watch Lady and the Tramp, not just because it's a great film, because it definitely is, but Bill Thompson does many different accents in there, and that's probably the easiest way for people to see just how varied his output was.
Oh, it's you, lassie. Well, a buongiorno, Butch. You want your breakfast, eh? Blimey. Look, Peg, it's the tramp.
Cheer up, Jim. Old Doc Jones has never lost a father yet. I suppose you'll be telling me next it was the dog that was whistling, eh?
I'm certain I don't know.
Oh, so I'm a liar now, am I? Well, you listen to me.
But as I go through the short, I'll go through some of the other voice actors. And this information comes from Keith Scott's Wonderful Cartoon Voices book, where he's identified who voices what. And as for Little Blabbermouse, for whatever reason, his original name was going to be Parcheesi, and that's based off of the model sheet that survives. Yeah, I think Little Blabbermouse sounds like a better name in my opinion, but it's just one of those things. You just put something in temporarily until you either figure out something better or just use whatever you thought of in the first place. And yes, Little Blabbermouse is a play on the term Little Blabbermouth, so somebody who likes to talk too much. Sounds kind of like me, right? But anyway. And one other bit of trivia before we go through the short itself. This is the last short that Ben Hardaway wrote for Warner Brothers before he went to work for Walter Lantz. I mean, by this point, he was already at Lantz Studio when the actual short was released. This was definitely the last work that he did. And later on, he would come back to Warner's to do a few more cartoons for Friz Freleng, although he only ended up doing one, which was A Bone for a Bone, and he would die about a decade after that. So yeah, it's truly an end of an era, with Friz coming back to the unit that was taken over by Hardaway and Carl Dalton. But let's go through the short from start to finish and go through some of the references and other observations. So as we open up, we get this beautiful pan showcasing that, hey, we're inside a drugstore that's of course shut down for the night. And we end up going to Mouse Hole, where we see our main character, the W.C. Fields Mouse, who is promoting this tour, saying, hurry, hurry, let's go along.
Of lifetime, a continuous, ever-changing, kaleidoscopic multiplicity of all-star attractions. Never before presented the ridiculous low price of 10 cents. Yes, sir. It's bigger, better, grander than ever.
You know, Bill Thompson's voice for W.C. Fields is not the best. I have heard better, but for the purposes of this short, it's perfectly fine. So he mentions that the cost of doing this tour is 10 cents, and we see a blabbering little mouse go up to him saying, hey, can kids get him for free? Can I get him for free? And so on. And you can see that this W.C. Fields mouse is annoyed at him, and that's play on the fact that W.C. Fields really did have a dislike for irritating children. So that's what they're playing up there.
Boys, are children in arms free, mister? Could I get in free? What's in there? Is it worth seeing? What's a sky ride, mister? Huh, mister?
Step aside there, my little urchin. Let the folks through.
But he does allow the kid to go on after he pays a dime to actually get on this particular tour. And we see a few scenes of setting things up, and the cute little gag involving, hey, you need to have something soft to sit on. And of course, what does he give him? Marshmallows. Because of course he does. It takes a while to set up, but hey, it's fine for what it is. So they go onto this trolley pulley system thing, and I just wanted to point out that at that time, that was commonly seen in a lot of stores, and a lot of that time that would be just to transport things between different departments or areas within a certain store. So it might be like cash or maybe a prescription slip or something going from one place to another. And later on, you'll see a tube that's like a pressurized tube that was used in a lot of the bigger department stores. So that would become more prominent than this older pulley system, but the small stores would use that. That system's no longer used, but at the time it was definitely prominent in a lot of the stores. So we see a gag which I guess is okay. I mean, I didn't think too much of it, but the basket lifts up and we have little Blabbermouse who's too small, so of course the basket lifts up without him, and we just see a little scene just cementing this W.C. Fields mouse irritation against annoying children such as this one. So he lays down a bit of carpet and off they go, and we're going to start the tour. And I love the shot of that basket lifting up. And, you know, Friz usually isn't very ambitious when it comes to certain shots, but sometimes he'll surprise you, and this is definitely one of those times. So in our first of our many dad jokes in this one, we see the vanishing cream, and what does it do? It vanishes, of course. And our little Blabbermouse is like, where did the vanishing cream go? And so on, clearly annoying him. And I've got to say, I'm already annoyed at this character, if I'm being completely honest. I mean, what other gag are you going to expect with reducing pills? I mean, it should be self-apparent. And we have sleeping powders, smelling salts, and cough medicine. I mean, you can pretty much expect the gags that'll come out of that. But I do like how the music cues, they'll pop up briefly to match what's actually going on, like smelling salts, where the smelling salts turn into a dog. We hear We're Aware, Has My Little Dog Gone, of course.
Smelling salts.
But I love the animation of the cough medicine. I mean, the joke is cringy. I love it though, okay, but at least the animation there is pretty good.
Got a bad cold, hasn't he?
So next up, we pan past a few food item labels, including one that's onion sandwich, and it's kind of weird because Freleng's shorts usually would have a gag saying hold the onions, so maybe Friz himself just didn't like onions. But in any case, they're looking at this colossal, stupendous thing, which is a giant malt. And I could definitely use one right now. I'm actually recording this on a very hot day. And for only 10 cents too. But then again, inflation, that will be a few dollars today, I would imagine. But there's no real gag here that kind of works, because then it's like, oh, we got a little pipsqueak and it's this tiny little squirt bottle thing. The joke would have worked better if they actually got something food related that was tiny. I don't know what you could put here instead, but yeah, the gag kind of falls flat. I do like the dramatic music though, and the shot as we pan up, seeing this gigantic malt, and then the really very quick cuts to this small little pipsqueak. But yeah, it didn't quite work for me. And you have the shaving brush. That should be pretty apparent. I do like the design of this brush though. It looks pretty happy, as we hear singing in the bathtub. I mean, what other song are you going to play here, right? So we have crazy mineral water, which, I mean, what else are you going to see here? You're going to see a crazy bottle. I do like the sound effects of this bottle being crazy and the animation, so at least it's delivered quite well.
Texas.
But this is actually a reference to crazy mineral water from Texas, which is the only bottled water that's done in Texas. And I didn't know that, and it's still around to this day. So maybe one day I'll try some crazy mineral water, and hopefully it won't get too crazy. I mean, I might get crazy after watching this cartoon. And we have rubber bands. That's a literal band. And this isn't the last time that Freeling would use this gag. He must have liked this one enough to reuse it in N for Dough for the Dodo. So, yeah, I don't know. It's silly. It's cheesy. It's okay. And we even get some military brushes in the middle of that. They look very militaristic, I suppose, but yeah, they're marching along to the beat. And hey, the song's great, so at least there's that. And once again, it's Carl Starling doing those musical puns as well as these very silly dad joke puns that we're seeing all throughout. And we're only halfway through. But I have to say, the next gag is pretty clever. So we see a whole bunch of clocks where they sing their own rendition of Start the Day Right, which you can imagine is like, hey, start the day right, bright and early. But of course, it's the alarm clock, and that's the way everyone hates to start their day, hearing that damn alarm clock. So yeah, pretty clever. And the rendition here, however brief, is pretty cool too.
Off with the blanket, down with the window, on with the day. Stretch just a little, bend just a little, you'll feel okay. Sing while you're washing, sing while you're dressing, carefree and gay. Oh, really start the day right.
The next gag is really testing my resolve in regards to dad jokes. I mean, I love them, but even I have my limits. We see an order book, and what song is he singing? I like to take orders from you.
Now if you want to buy for cash or credit, try COD or IOU, 'cause I just love to take orders from you.
I don't know whether to love it or hate it. I think both. I think I love it and hate it. And according to Keith Scott's Cartoon Voices book, he says here William Days, and I'm trying to look it up, but I don't know who that is. So if you have any further information on who this William Days is, definitely let me know. And he notes here that a lot of the next bits in regards to the vocalists, you have the sportsmen doing a lot of the male chorus stuff, like for We're in the Money and so on. You also have the Rhythmettes doing the female vocalist parts for all the songs up ahead, like the Cold Medicine Lady and so on. You also have Phil Ravenscroft and William Days singing the bass and tenor Tobacco Tin. So William Days does both. He does the order book and he also does the singing for the tenor Tobacco Tin. We see some ballerina Powder Puff singing, what else? Shake Your Powder Puff. And if you listen to the lyrics, it is a little bit on the risque side, but this was done pre-code. So that song originated from that era and somehow it snuck through here. Maybe the censors weren't paying attention. I don't know.
If you see your Romeo sitting in the ballhead row, do a little hidey-ho and shake your powder puff.
And a few coins singing We're in the Money? Who would have expected that? Now, I wonder if there's any coin experts out there, because I'm not experienced when it comes to US currency here, but are those coins accurate to the time period? If you're an expert on coins, definitely let me know in the comments below. I do like the out of touch. I mean, yeah, you can say it's a bit racially insensitive and all that stuff, but I do like how the Native American one has the legs that suit the actual face that's shown here. But yeah, this is really testing things in regards to my love for dad jokes, that's for sure.
We're in the money, we're in the money. We've got a lot of what it takes to get along.
And we see the cold medicine, of course. I'm the cure for what ails you. And that's based off of the song You're the Cure for What Ails Me. So it's a slight little twist on that. Well, it makes sense here at least. So there's that, I guess.
You were a chronic, how have you been? Then like a tonic, I blew in. I'm the cure for what ails you.
And we see some tobacco singing "Half of Me Wants to Be Good," and of course it's half-half. So you got the good pipe tobacco and the bad chewing tobacco. I mean, all tobacco is bad, let's not kid ourselves, but of course the chewing tobacco has to be bad because it's black, so when you chew on it, it turns into this black gooey substance that you would spit out into a spittoon. But yeah, it's 50-50. I guess it's a kind of a good deal. Half of me wants to be bad. Yeah, alright, sure.
Half of me says let's get religion.
Half of me says no, we won't. Good Lord, I'm in a mess of trouble.
Half of me wants to be good.
And we hear singing in the bathtub again, so it's a bit of a repeat here, but this time with vocals, and we hear them vocalizing bath salts taking a bath. Yeah, I know you guys can't see it, but I'm pretty much rolling my eyes pretty hard here. It's pretty bad.
Ready for a rub. Everybody's happy when singing in the tub.
And what's really bad? Xmas seals that are literal seals. A joke so bad that it's over as quickly as it starts. Wow. And we go past some event cards for every event. There's not really a gag here. You do hear, "Hey Joe, what do you know?" But there's nothing really funny in this bit. Kind of disappointing, actually. I was hoping for another dad pun because we clearly haven't had enough in this short. Oh look, we're going to get a little bit of a story here. So we go past these mouse traps, and as this W.C. Fields mouse notes that it's from some diseased mind, that we can come up with something like that. And he doesn't notice that there's a cat, and everyone else goes all white and they see the cat. So it's kind of similar to the older Merry Melody shorts where you wouldn't have a villain, or so-called villain anyway, in the third act. But I do like the animation acting here, so you got the little Blabbermouse looking all scared going, "Gasp, look, look, look," kind of thing. While the W.C. Fields mouse is ever oblivious, he thinks he's talking about the mousetrap and he's just bashing this cat's face with his cane. And, you know, I like the delivery here, I like the animation here. Is it ha-ha funny? No, but it's fine for what it is. So then W.C. Fields mouse notices that it's a cat and, well, we get a rather long scene of the two of them just escaping, saying, hey, the tour is no longer going to happen, and they end up going back into the mouse hole. And that whole bit could have been trimmed down easily. There's nothing really funny or needed about it. But anyway, they escape from the cat, and it's just the two of them now in the mouse hole, which I'm sure the W.C. Fields mouse is not happy with. And sure enough, the little Blabbermouse is just talking on and on and on. The W.C. Fields mouse is not happy and gives him alum. And this is a sort of gag that you see a lot where in the shorts you give someone alum and it's like their whole head literally shrinks, which doesn't actually happen. But in this case, it just makes your lips all pursed up, and that's what happens here. So it would have been probably more funnier if they actually did the effect of his head shrinking. But anyway, we end right there. Honestly, guys, your love of this short will depend on whether you have a tolerance for dad jokes or not. Now, I think it's funny. I actually like this short because of just how bad it is in terms of just how obvious the jokes are, and I'm a connoisseur of dad jokes as well. Some of them do take things a little too far, but ultimately, I can't find myself hating this one. I just chuckle too much. I roll too much in a good way. I think 7 out of 10 is fair. It's not a great cartoon, but honestly, I enjoyed it for what it was, so there's that. But that'll do it for this one. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and until next time, take care.
What'd you do that for, mister? Did I say something that made you mad? I don't see why you get mad at me. I'm not mad at you at all. All I did was ask for my money back. Gee, whiz, you never did anything we don't ask for.